Oh, hey, Pat. Test. Ah. Test every one of us. Ah. Okay. Flip the right way. Find my pencil. Oh no. There it is. Oh, forgot to double check the camera. Ah, well, I guess all channels functioning properly. Let's go to the intro and see what happens. Get out of here, Ripley. Hey, how's the delay? Seems like a bit of a delay. Anyway, I also forgot to do a fresh post on the Instagram and whatnot that says what we're doing. Camera adjusted. Take a picture of a blank piece of paper. Oops. Alright, I just didn't save the copied text from earlier. So first we copy some text that we saved to reuse again, and next we copy it and we paste it laboriously. There we go. And boop. Add to your story. Do. And you say good evening to Pat, 'cause Pat's your friend, and then you're like, hey Pat, let me just do some copy and pasting. It's just like talking to people in real life when they're on their phone, instead of looking you in the face. In the face. No filters. Paste. Facebook and Twitter. And done. All right, and Patrick, I can't see your texty notes. Okay, a note for later. Your Twitch account hasn't been set up for daylight savings time. Oh my god, why doesn't everything auto change? I thought the only thing that didn't auto change was my car clock and the microwave. And I still haven't changed the microwave because that's a nice reminder of the fact that time did change, and I'm awake like an hour early for no reason, other than I guess there's some sunlight. But I don't know. Today I was definitely thinking, oh yeah, I'm gonna take advantage of this daylight savings time thing, and enjoy this super nice day and go for a walk. And like 5 minutes later, it was dark again. So. Yeah, lately, see, I feel like it just caught up with itself. It should have just buffered to be like, hey, that's what that little jump in the video was to show I'm buffering. Ripley, distract Pat for a minute while I see if I can't get this camera to sync. First you go to the studio mode, studio mode, studio mode. You click on your camera in your studio mode. And it looks like it's syncing up. Ba-doo-doo. So I guess it's just being a butt. Oh, no, 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 no. Don't do that. No. I just want to, there we go. Just exit the studio mode. The studio mode. Studio mode. Just not to exit the studio mode. Don't need to shut down your OBS. Jam. Alright, Ripley. We row review. Switch back. Uh-oh. Oh, ripples. Now, there you go. That's what happens when you put a cat in charge that doesn't actually exist. Massavenia. General settings. General settings. Meow, meow, meow. Oh, display and brightness. I always go to general settings instead. There. Now the phone can stay on. Sometimes, Space Goonie. Ooh, you know what? I never really thought of whether or not the holes in the back of this computer are USB 2s and or 3s. But I know that one of the cameras has a little extra backup power supply boost. This one is just run right into the back. Not many other things are running, but I think it's probably just a one. Hey, this is that point when we've asked you to upgrade your computer 1,000 times, so we're going to start, you know, not working properly. Or as fast as you would like. And B, you know, it's kind of getting to be an oldish computer. Everything is already probably, you know, crazy leaps and bounds ahead of what the standard computer power is right now. Even though, I don't know, I just looked at new computers. It's like, hey, this actually isn't that far off from what's going still. I was going to say Mike Doty just popped up on my Instagram as the last thing while I was posting things. And then I thought, let's draw that. Let's draw Mike Doty. See if I can figure out how to call him Mike Doty instead of Mike Dowdy. There's a video playing right now. I'm just snapping some pictures, screen caps. And I'll pick one. What you singing, Mike Doty? Fix it with your tiny place there. Oh. Has made you drunk. The thoughts you think have become unthunk. Alright, accidentally closed it, but that's Busting Up a Starbucks by Mike Doty. Whoa. I don't know if you could hear that wild barking all of a sudden, but I recorded a podcast. It's not up yet. Still waiting for Tara to send over her half so I could edit them together and upload them as standard podcast form. But I want to draw this one. All right. How do I make this go away? There we go. Anyway, yeah. There's a good chunk of that podcast is about how there's a new neighbor next door, and they've got some dogs. And sometimes when she goes out, a dog just barks like crazy because the people upstairs, you know, walk around as if it's I don't know, the boot festival, and they want you to hear their new boots and how their boots sound. Yeah. So that's pretty fun. And these dogs don't listen to me at all when I, you know, go into the hallway and go, hey, quiet down, or go lay down, or, you know, just say those standard dog things. And sometimes, you know, some dogs you can just be like, it's cool, relax, and then they just do. These ones do not at all take very kindly to anybody else existing in this building, and that's wonderful. But I will say, I did try the old Archie trick, which was at one of my older apartments. There was a little dog next door named Archie, and he would just start barking like crazy, like crazy, like crazy. Just a tiny little dog. I felt so bad, and just desperately waiting for people to come home. And he would just go just barking crazy, just wouldn't stop. But sometimes I would just grab the ukulele and just play a little song and say things about Archie barking, and a good chunk of the time he would stop, like just playing some music, be like, oh yeah, I forgot. Nothing matters and everything's crazy. There's music playing through the wall. I guess that's why I was barking, was to get this music to start, and then it did. So then he'd give up for a little bit. Sometimes, not all the time. So the other day I tried that, and once again, I think it's probably just a slight bit of confusion where they're like, what's happening? I really didn't expect this sound to happen, and or this song that keeps mentioning how dogs should shut up. But there it is. And they stopped for a little bit. But then they didn't. They were like, oh, cool, never mind. What's going on here? Do I need to reload this? No, don't be empty. Oh, snaps. I don't know what happened, but I believe this is what happened last time, where the thing I used to read my chat on the phone decided, no, I'm done for a little bit. I'm just gonna not keep up here. But anyway, yeah, That only worked for a second with those dogs, and then they continued to bark like maniacs for yeah, well over an hour, just consistent barking. You're really not going to show me what's been said? Magic box. If I type the word test. Alright, I see that. Alright. Let's seem to sync it back up. It is just the one dog, as near as I can tell, that's making all the noise. I only know it's more than one dog over there because I saw them. But as near as I can tell, it's the loud dog, or the big dog that's doing the barking, and the little dog that's just going, "Hey, what's going on over here? I'll just let you do all the work, all this barking work, while I wait for people to bring food home." Like, this is just gonna look like any guy with a beard. More than Mike Doty. Anyway, in art talk, I was working on a drawing for somebody of like superheroes fighting, and one, realizing I don't often draw battles or fights between people, usually just like the one character flying or doing stuff or whatever. So I did like some doodles and whatnot of, hey Boxy Fox. I don't, Pat. I don't. That's the secret only the dogs know is who's making what noise. But I do know that they are making the noise. So, you know, at some point doing these like superhero drawings, I realized like, all right, it's time to probably look up some reference and make sure, you know, I'm drawing real human proportions and body parts and whatnot. So I figure like, hey, like we live in a world now where I can Google like superheroes fighting. Like some of them are like CG body, but you know, there's still something. And the Supermans and Justice League movies, like you know the Marvel movies, all that stuff. I don't know if the dog whistle will just upset them. I think actually I did try that. I got like a dog whistle app on my phone that was supposed to work, and I think I tried that on the last dog. But yeah, so I just like start looking through like fight sequences in superhero movies and realizing like, oh, and a lot of these when you watch them frame by frame, they're awful. They're just awful just because of the you know, after the fact of like shooting something like an action scene or whatever, when it's like, all right, you're gonna punch this guy and then he's gonna go flying over there, but then oh, we put a bunch of CG stuff in there, so he's actually gonna go on this arc. So then things are adjusted and whatever. So these these fights that like the actors or whatever will go and get like certified or whatever. Like they'll do all kinds of fight training in a certain fighting style, so their fighting looks good and real. Instead of just using like the how to trust superheroes the Marvel way, accentuated poses of punching. So a lot of them are just like and just, pulled in and just made slightly awkward so it looks good in the overall shot of the movie. But as far as like trying to steal poses, like, oh, there's nothing here to work with for me. But I mean, there's still some stuff, but and a lot of the things where you're like, oh, this is going to be awesome. It's like, oh, these are really awkward stills, actually. Which is probably the reason why I can't find a bunch of like good stills. The car of its engine for a minute. But anyway, like, that's fake fighting, and there's a whole world of real fighting out there. So once you start like looking for fight type stuff, suddenly you'll just start getting like GIFs and little videos that are auto playing of like UFC fights, which until one pops up on your phone or on your screen, you don't realize like, oh yeah, I don't watch stuff like this. This is insane, and it's giving me a lot to think about. And I mean, like, I watched a good handful of like superhero based things over the weekend. The Reign of the Superman, new animated like short movie, or not short, little animated movie, animated feature, and I believe I watched it before, but Batman Bad Blood, about Batwoman and Robin and Nightwing, and all this stuff, trying to get Bruce Wayne back and keep him from, I don't know, killing all the world's leaders or whatever through nefarious plans. And yes, so it's like within all that is like it's a bunch of fighting, a bunch of people just smashing each other in the faces, and violence for the sake of good or whatever. And that's kind of like my version of what fighting is. Like it's the Batman way, where it's like, oh, the good guy like block block block, knocks somebody down, block block, maybe takes a hit, and ultimately it wins the day, as it were. But then some UFC fights show up on on the screen, and I'm just like, what am I even watching here? And first, like, before I even was like, whoa, this is nuts, I was like, oh yeah, there's a whole world of real fighting. Like, maybe I will like flip through some of this, and there's probably going to be some really good poses and stuff to take from here. Forgetting that, like, in the days of, I'm going to say, like, UFC becoming a thing, like, hey, there's, like, mixed martial arts boxing and these, like, Muay Thai and stuff like that, and, some people will get it on the satellite dish or get some videos in from somewhere, and you might see some of these crazy fights from, parts unknown around the world where it's legal to just smash each other to pieces. And then UFC became like, I don't know, it's just a normal thing that's, down the street in Las Vegas or whatever. And then, like, it first being described to me as, like, blood sport, like Mortal Kombat. Well, not Mortal Kombat, but like one of these, Street Fighter type of movies where it's like, oh, these people are doing like crazy jump kicks and like a ninja type guy is fighting a boxing type guy. Like, yeah, this is the Nintendo I grew up on. Like, this show has to be amazing, and it's really, you say, like, this is gonna be bananas. Like, yeah, bring that tape into the studio. I gotta see this. Like, this is definitely what you know, 80s, 90s action movies has trained us for, right? And then finally watching it, it's just like, this is not shot like a movie at all. Oh my god, this is so boring. It's just a wide shot of these two people just kind of kicking and punching at each other. And mostly, like, the first few that I saw were just like, this is a thing that's supposed to be illegal. I mean, boxing, like, they're at least consistently getting smashed in the face. Like, yeah, that should kind of be stopped, even with big boxing gloves. Um, these guys are like, this is how I would have a fight if I had the chance to have a fight with somebody that I knew could kill me. Hopefully, we both just kept going and it's just like just blocks or whatever. Like, okay. And then eventually, there was one like, we'll watch this, and somebody just like a jump in the air, and it's like, yeah, unless it's shot really good, unless somebody storyboarded and choreographed this and everybody's on the same page, that looks like when you're watching somebody play Warcraft or Grand Theft Auto, and they're just like, like they just jump for no reason. Like, I'm just running, and then they just that awkward jump. Like, that guy just jumped and punched down. And I don't know, like, didn't we all learn in Troy, when I'm pretty sure it was Brad Pitt was the one that did the old, I think everybody kind of took a chance at, or took a shot at the jump and punch, or I don't know, amping up their action sequence in that movie with a jump, when it's just like, I think he meant to just punch that guy. You're not Spider-Man. You don't have weird jumping powers, so you're just like a normal guy that jumped. Plus, you're wearing a bunch of armor, so how much air did you think you were going to get? And I mean, even in this case, the camera did film it, so it's like we slow motioned it. We made it look as cool as possible. But once you actually like stab that guy or punch that guy or whatever, it's just like you had I think you had a sword or a spear, and it's like you already had a sword or a spear. That it didn't give you the upper hand. And then seeing it in real life, where this guy like jumping like like that looks an awful lot like when little kids are pretending to be ninjas, and they just kind of jump and do a kick, and they're not ninjas, they're little kids, and whatever. It's like that's kind of what UFC is still in my head. And forgetting that it's gotten crazy. Like, people are training insanely for this, and it's there's the people are not only training to like fight well, but to like take a beating, which is just horrific. Because I'm gonna say, like, the guy doing the better punching in this particular clip that popped up, I'm pretty sure his name is McGregor or something like that. Just because I think he's like the main, like the best guy that's always having his videos out there, or that you keep hearing the name. So there was it's like, oh yeah, there isn't people trying to do cool style points. It's just about trying to, hey Clyde, destroy each other for money, I guess. Like, for money, like that's the only thing. It has, you're treating it as a job. It's not like wrestling, where it's like we've orchestrated a story of why you guys hate each other, and why this fight is going to happen. It's a big dramatic thing, except in the case of USC, where it's just like, oh, like there have become rivalries and whatever, but like the rivalry only exists because, hey, we agreed to fight that one time and you beat me, and I'm not gonna let that stand. Like, no, that was kind of the deal. Like, that's that's the same as like, oh, like this football team, they're gonna murder this other team because they lost. Like, no, you guys met to see who was gonna win this thing. And yeah, stuff for fun is fine. If you're UFCing for fun, then have fun. But like, you can see in the faces of some of them, like, oh, this is some score settling here. This is a little bit of vendettaing. But again, but the other part is like it isn't like Karate Kid, it isn't like judo where it's like here's a point system and it's about throws and it's about, you know, kind of more controlled action. This is about making somebody bleed or get just straight up knocked out or just go, "Oh my God, you beat me so bad that I'm going to tap on the ground and say I give up." Like I give up schoolyard 8-year-old or whatever, like 15-year-old maniacs trying to kill each other rules apply, or it's like, no, like I give up, you are going to kill me if we don't stop. And anyway, like the sequence that came up was just like not impressive, but so just like, oh yeah, I what like what am I like what was I even looking for again now? Like, oh yeah, reference for fighting, but actual fighting is just so disturbing. And even this, it was just a few punches, but like the guy, you know, the guy that was great was just like bang, smashes the guy like in the side of the head. That guy's like, you know, he's falling, but he's still trying to keep fighting. So his other hand is like, rah, takes a wild swing. The other guy like dodges that easily, and then just bang, like smashes him in the head again or something. The United Federation of Coloring Books is not the UFC I'm talking about, Clyde. Um, and again, just that thing where I'm just like, oh yeah, yeah, like this is the whole thing about football and whatever, like why people don't want their kids playing football, or how, you know, old football players are like, oh yeah, yeah, by the way, if you think that we're not completely messed up from all of that, like we are, but at least with football, you know, there is a whole other part to it besides smashing each other to death. Um, Whereas, yeah, like the UFC, it really is just like this is kind of attempted murder, the game, and hey Josh, uh, we're talking about attempted murder, the game that everybody plays on HBO and pay per view. Um, but anyway, to intersect a few things, how, you know, the algorithm works. I was listening to a podcast where they were talking about the thing that I worry about when it comes to seeing a fist fight, never wanting to get involved in a fist fight, is that I don't want to accidentally murder somebody, and I definitely don't want to accidentally get murdered in a fist fight, because it's so easy to either just die during a fight from a single punch, or B, just have something irrevocably undoable to your structure and or, you know, mental state. So anyway, this podcast, like, so, you know, overlapping with me looking for this uh, reference images of a fight, and this guy's telling some story about, hey, I was at this party, and the people, you know, they warned me, like, so and so is coming, you know, he'll be here in a minute. Don't say anything about his face. This is what happened, where it's like basically he had like one punch to the face. It was just like a mess and doesn't have control over it anymore, and, like, you know, a bunch of brain damage, like, you know, from a punch to the face. And it's just like, yeah, that isn't everybody afraid of that? Like, I mean, to even take it to an even lower level is, you know, the other day, when I had like the flu, and I was just like, you know, at the height of, I just need to go to the bathroom and make it back to bed again, and I'm full of NyQuil, and maybe it was the middle of the night, no idea what time it happened, but at one point it was like, you know, wash my hands, turn off the light or put the towel back, like whatever it is, you know, for the first time ever in my own bathroom, like misjudged where the door was, or closed the door more than I normally would, or whatever that was, and just barely hit my nose on like the side of the door, and it was just like, oh my god, should I go to the hospital? Like, that was the worst pain ever, like just hitting it just right, where it's just like, oh my God, like that was the lightest possible way to get punched in the face. Is what I just did there, like just barely grazing my nose, and it's just like this is insane. And then just a few days later, like sense memory, like compounding it in my head of this is something you choose for your job. And I mean, I'll have days. Josh, I'm sure you'll have days. Definitely, Pat, you'll have days where you're hunched over at your desk for like 55 hours in a row, and you're just like, oh my God, like, I just have one more frame to draw. I just have one more page to draw. I just have to clean up this one more character. But your hand is like, it's just shaking with like, you just have to drop this pen. I was like, but I need to finish this. I was like, I don't even know if I know how to stand up anymore. My back has just become a question mark. And it's full of just questions like what happens if I try to stand back up straight again. And it's just like, that's, I mean, it's basically this, like just I draw pictures, I animate things all day. Like the worst part of my job is dealing with other human beings that just have their weird random notes, even though, what is this based on? What is this based on? You don't have any experience in this. Um, so anyway, I mean, I work with people. Jash knows we worked with people that are just like, what do you do after work? Oh, I go out and I do practice some UFCing and parkouring and whatnot. And I mean, the day Matt showed up, where it's just like, I can't work today. Like, why? Because my arm is no longer attached to the rest of my body. Like, it's what now? Like, I was playing violent sports, like rugby or whatever, and oh, la-ti-da. Pat's the best at sitting up straight. Well, a lot of us aren't aren't like that when we compare it to UFC fights. Once, Superkillers hit his leg with a sledgehammer. True story. He was tearing down his old house, or an old house, and it bounced off a board and hit him. The lack of feeling came in handy when it was hit by a car years later. Oh, Clyde, you and you're inches away from living Craig's stories. But yeah, like me and Josh, like we're twisted messes. Like the more I sit up straight, the more it feels like something is terribly wrong. Um, and again, it's just like, and for what it was like, so I can pay to have a nice little room and some cameras to draw and tell weird stories. And I mean, some UFC guys, like, they're making lots of money, lots and lots of money. But I guess here's how I grade most things, I guess, where it's, hey, if somebody walked up to you on the street and they're like, all right, for I don't know, $500, would you take a punch in the face? And sometimes you're like, you know what, I got a lot of bills, or I got a lot of this and that. Like, yes, of course, like for $500, one punch to the face. There's people that do it for a living that just get punched in the face. um Mike D. Oh, yes. Like, you know who I am. Um, but yeah, and then like once you have a decent job for any amount of time, you stop thinking things like that. And again, just listening to other podcasts, or maybe it was like news things, or what have you. Um, but there's these like surveys, or whatever, science results. I don't know, whatever those things are, where people make money to study things that are kind of obvious, but that study that basically says, like the poorer you are, the more willing you are to live in terrible conditions, and or uh, take a job that is just crazy terrible for you, or dangerous, or whatever, because it is kind of a what have I got to lose situation. And I believe there's a similar study with like basically the same formula for buying lottery tickets. Like the less you need lottery tickets, um, the you know like or no the more you can afford lottery tickets, the less you're like, oh, I'm gonna go buy some lottery tickets because like now that I can actually afford them, I could just use that money to go buy the things that I want to get with my winnings. And but then when you can't afford lottery tickets, it's like I better get a lottery ticket so I can maybe afford the rest of my life because the world is terrifying and there are maniacs running us. Oh, Clyde. Hmm. I don't know. It's kind of looking more like a random fisherman. And Josh is also right. The money doesn't matter once the sun boils you alive. Therefore, you should try to live at some level of comfort. And by some level of comfort, I mean not getting your face punched in as a job. Even if it is only, I don't know, once a month, once every few months you have a fight. I don't know. I don't know. I have a hard time condoning any of this. Alright, let's get silly and make a mess of this. Get some gray here. Some black and white fun. Speaking of random violent acts, though, going back around to my reason for seeing fight stuff was superhero reference, and in doing some superhero reference, you inadvertently start watching some superhero cartoons, and forget that you're just supposed to be watching these for reference. Then you end up just watching the movie, but. This has been discussed by a million people in a million ways through the air, across the ocean, all the time and forever. But the old, not even the fact that like, oh, like Batman, the Batman doesn't kill thing or whatever. Like Batman's a little bit rough. He's a little bit really rough, and he's definitely killed a bunch of people. Even though it's like that person might have survived, but they definitely died. But in Bad Blood, specifically, like right off the bat, right at the beginning, it pretty much starts with Batwoman fighting with a bunch of like maybe some mafia guys, but some lower level super villain types. Specifically, the an old Batman just straight up had a gun. But yeah, Batwoman, she just straight up has a gun. She's like a military lady who's like, oh, I'm gonna start shooting these guys because you've been fighting them forever and they keep murdering people. So I'm just gonna shoot them. So she's shooting at them, and yeah, so Firefly and I think it's Killer Moth. Specifically, are these two guys that are like they've got jetpacks and they're flying around. One of them, Firefly, like shoots fire, and the Moth, whatever. Maybe he's got some electricity going on or something. But anyway, she's like shooting at these guys. Near as I can tell, she didn't kill anybody or hit anybody yet. Batman shows up and is fully just like, no, like we don't do that. That makes us like them. There's no shooting. So she's kind of like, all right, fine. Like you're Batman. We'll do it your way. Just kung fu kicks and batarangs and explosives. So just like for all of this entire movie, there's so much of it is kind of about the whole like, hey, are we gonna, with Batman out of commission, are we gonna be like, you know what? Let's forget what the old man's saying. Let's just start killing people. Is a bit of what it's about. And a previous movie was already about Damien going through that, so he's kind of the first to be like, no, we don't do that, guys. We already agreed. I'm gonna be Robin. I'm not gonna be a murderous psychopath like I am. So, movie starts right away, and yeah, no, we don't do that. We don't shoot people. And then Batman, shoots his grappling hook, and Firefly or Moth, one of the flying guys anyway, is just like, like you missed me, like they always do. Batman just flies by him with the grappling hook, and of course the old classic, like Batman whips by, and the bad guy's like, oh, you didn't do anything, like, uh-oh, beep, 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 boom. Now, aside from the fact Batman was already throwing fully explosive batarangs, which, as near as I can tell, are razor-sharp knives that also explode. How that's less murderous than a gun, I don't know. Again, specifically because within this sequence was all about like, hey, I'm not killing anybody, but I will put an explosive on a gas or a jet-fueled jetpack. And I'll just explode that on this guy's back. And I swear I thought that at least 4 of the bad guys died. And before the whole place exploded, and they definitely all died. But everybody somehow survived. Spoiler alert. If you do plan on watching Batman Bad Blood. So, he explodes those guys. Time passes, and same deal later on. Somebody, maybe it was Damien again, or maybe it was Nightwing. But somebody, yet again, the exact same thing. Like, whoa, like, all right, like, we got to save some lives here. We got to be careful not to kill these people. And then, I don't think, maybe it was, I can't remember who it was. But once again, the 2 flying guys that I thought were fully exploded and murdered by Batman specifically were still alive. And then Nightwing and or somebody else, like, threw one of them. Oh, I think it was, what's the bat plane called? But anyway, that guy that calls himself the same name as the Batwing. And yeah, it's like they kind of act like, like this isn't a kids movie. There was some swearing, and definitely there's definitely death, like from some of the bad guys fully murder some other people. Again, spoiler, but Talia, whatever, Damien's mom, tries to murder him, orders him to, like, oh, that kid again? Like, somebody killed that. Like, Mom, what do you mean? Like, kill him, I'm done. I can make more clones of him. He's not really my kid. Like, this is insane. This is an insane movie. It was really good, though, I have to say. Fully enjoyed it. But yeah, as near as I can tell, by the end, all the bad guys that were knocked down by the good guys, they all survived. Everybody lived, and only the bad guys that were killed by other bad guys seemed to die. But outside of that movie, just in the, Batman does straight up kill people, lexicon, or zeitgeist, I guess it would be, not the lexicon, the Encyclopedia of Batman Murders. Bambi Bad Blood. The, it's still, I don't know. I know that a lot of people hate Batman Returns. I still kind of love it. I can't remember the last time I watched it. Maybe it was around Christmas time. But both Michael Keaton Batman movies. I still need to watch those every so often. But yeah, like the opening of Batman Returns was terrifying the first time I watched it. Like, oh, Batman's just killing people in this movie, and then it's just like, no, he didn't. No, he fully like killed people in this movie. And if he didn't, thanks for following, Josh. If he didn't kill, he did at least fully maim / ruin the lives of a bunch of people in this movie. I think it's the first one. I think maybe it's the second one, but yeah, I think the first is like he ran over a couple people with a Batmobile. He seemed to be going fast enough that there was a rocket going off in the back. So those people are definitely crippled for life. Like you don't take a car that shaped through somebody's legs and not ruin the rest of their life. But whatever, they're criminals. That's kind of that's fine. Batman kind of used to be a backbreaking Shadowhawk type of guy that that made it difficult for bad guys to keep being bad guys. Because one of my favorite scenes in any Batman movie is still The Dark Knight, when Julia Roberts' brother, Eric Roberts, is like this isn't even high enough to kill me, and Batman's like, yeah, that's what I'm counting on, and then drops him and like just breaks his legs, and I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. It's still horrific, and wow, this is definitely not a Batman for kids, but yeah, that makes total sense. But in Batman Returns, first thing he does is like turn the Batmobile around on that piston, and then, and I get the irony. The irony's there. It's fully like that's straight up like in Tim Burton's kids movies and his Batman. The fire breathing red triangle devil guy blows fire at the Batmobile, so the Batmobile's like, I'll blow fire at you then, and it's just like you set a man on fire who's probably wearing a cheap carnival outfit, so that's burned to his skin forever. Oh, Patrick, that's the wrong answer always. Again, still one of my favorite scenes. Like, oh, that's hilarious. And again, the juxtaposition of that guy blew fire at the Batmobile. Like, you're gonna take on the Batmobile, and the Batmobile's like, I separate that scene from Batman, where it's just like, that's more Batmobile than Batman. Like, it was just like, yeah, it was out of his hands. The car was doing the talking. That's all Lucius. And then once Batman's just like walking around to his theme music, and it's just everything is just so effortless. It's just it's the full blown like the Indiana Jones pulling the gun thing, except for a whole sequence of like people keep jumping out, and he's just like do knocked down, and then the one guy has like a bomb, knocks that guy down, and then shoves the bomb into another guy's pants, pushes him off screen. And it's clearly like TNT, like it's a bomb. And then from the hole, there's an explosion big enough that humans don't survive explosions like that. Like, that guy definitely didn't make it out. But still loved it because it's just like, yeah. It's Batman. Like, it's still Batman, and in that world, like once you get a certain level of actual darkness, um, people are going to get hurt. You know, it's like I said, this still goes back to what I started with, where how do people do UFC? You're gonna accidentally, hurt yourself, kill somebody else, or get yourself some brain damage or whatever. Um, and just like kick ass or whatever. Like yeah, once a superhero comes into the real world, it just gets more and more exponentially silly. The longer that world exists, where something horrific doesn't happen. Well, you're mixing up your movies again. Thinking of Spaceballs, Clyde. My favorite Batman thing. I have no idea what it's from, but I just saw the clip on YouTube there the other day, um, where I genuinely don't know what it's from, but it's an animated Justice League movie of some kind anyway. And Green Lantern and Batman are like trucking through the sewer looking for or avoiding aliens or something. And they're just kind of like, what are we gonna do? What's the plan? Do. And then suddenly Green Lantern's like, wait a second. He's like, what are your powers exactly? Like, what are you doing here? Like, are you just smart and wearing that costume? And Batman's like, yeah, yeah, that's all I need, kind of thing. And and Green Lantern's like mid protest, like this is unacceptable. Like, we're trying to battle, for the fate of the Earth here. And then suddenly he's like not in his Green Lantern costume, and Batman's like inspecting his Green Lantern ring. And Green Lantern's like, "What? How did you do that? Like that's my power. I'm Batman. Like I could stop you at any point in time, even though I kind of just Justice League War. Um, I'm pretty sure I've watched it, but I don't remember it. I think I remember it being fun. But that specific part, so good. But that's my favorite thing about all of the Justice League animated stuff is there's almost always a point where they're just like, how are we gonna stop this alien invasion? Like we're just a Superman and a Green Lantern and a Wonder Woman, and then some guy in a suit, and then in the end, Bat Batman's the one that always solves it all. But of course, my favorite part will always be um, old man Thomas Wayne electrocuting the Flash to try and bring his powers back. Both times, time it doesn't work and the time it does work, just absolutely precious. How much he genuinely just kind of doesn't really care, barely believes it's going to work, but it's still like, whatever, I'll electrocute you if you want me to. Or Flashpoint Paradox. I don't know what I just called it. It's called just the cranky drunk Batman and his friend the Flash, trying to solve the future by fixing the past. There's all kinds of whiskey bottles filling the cave. And the Flash is the key, so he's gotta be brave. Even though he's kinda dumb, somehow he's the best. I can hear the people upstairs. Let's see, that's all I've got in TV news. The only other thing I did all weekend was animate a little velociraptor. Once again, if you're not following my Instagram, go follow my Instagram. It's no such thing as grown ups, same as up here. But I still want to make an actual big, long ASMR video with the velociraptor, but stop motion takes forever. And I meant to load it up so we could watch it, but I didn't. But it's there for now. But yeah, all I could think was one. I'll just throw on some Netflix and we'll do some stop motioning and enjoy the weekend, and won't let it go hurtling by. And then new Arrested Developments were on, and I thought, oh, perfect. I'll throw in a season of Arrested Development. And thanks for following, Princess IM07. But some TV shows, I can't just turn them on and then just go play with my toys or draw pictures, no matter how much I want to. They need too much attention. Although I still did a bunch of animation with a little velociraptor. Oh yeah, I forgot to change the title of this episode. Draw and Mike Doty. But yeah, I still like I don't know, spend forever. I was trying out some new software and trying out some different like lighting and seeing how the specific software controls some things, which is like, oh, this is going to be great. I'm really excited. So I, in my head, wasn't even really thinking, oh, I'm going to do some animating right now. Like, I'm just going to set up this little scene and see what I can do with these new settings I now have access to. And after first thinking, oh man, like the whole reason I got into animation was so I could do stuff like this, and hoping that someday I could magically afford a magic stop motion box, or like the amount of gear that would take, like the tens of thousands of dollars worth of gear. And now I'm just like, I'm like, this is literally like the oldest computer that I have access to, that like barely even does anything. Some free software and like I think it might have cost me $6. Maybe it was $12. I can't remember. It was like a $12 piece of software. And I'm just like, this is what, you know, these kids that are making awesome movies on Instagram and YouTube, this is what they're using. This is probably a variation of what some studios are using. And this is like, you know, virtually nothing. So it's like, A, that was magical. But then B, you know, moving, take a picture, move it, take a picture, move it, take a picture. As stop motion goes, move it a little more, take another picture, move it a little bit more, take another picture, settle it back, take a picture, settle it back, take a picture, ease it back again, take a picture, take a picture, take a picture, start moving it in, take it a picture. Oh my God, move it again, take a picture. And then at the end, it was just like, this feels like it should be about 20 minutes worth of video. I know, I'm not stupid, so I'm already aware that it's like, it's probably about 6 seconds. I have spent a lot of time at this, but I've also been watching Arrested Development. I won't be surprised if it is only about 6 seconds before I, you know, without actually looking at the numbers. And then finally just like hit play, see what's going on. And I mean, it was a good like 14 seconds or whatever in the end, which is still quite a bit. I mean, you know, if you don't think about the fact that this fox over here is like a full 1 minute loop of tail moving, ears moving, breathing a little bit. He seems to be chugging a little bit. Once again, I definitely need a better computer for this. And I did that with some reuse, like in no time, like in a matter of like an hour or whatever. Just threw that guy together. And again, he's already been animated with just this loop. But in the same vein, that Velociraptor, it already exists. I didn't have to build a Velociraptor. I didn't have to make a skeleton, paint it, do all the things. It was just taking a toy that has some good joints and moving it around a little bit. And then very quickly making some noises into a very bad microphone. But anyway, while I went on that tirade, all I could think was, at the end of like looking at 14 seconds, was the Parks and Recreation, where Adam Scott's character, he was out of work and was like, ooh, like I'm gonna make a stop motion film, I'm gonna do all these things, and he's like really doing it, and he's talking about stop motion, like the character, as if he really knows what he's talking about. So I'm like, oh, they're probably gonna show like a really cool little stop motion movie that they put together for this character. Like he's super into it. And then he hits play, and whatever it is, it's like 3 seconds or a half a second. And he loses his mind where he's like, yeah, like, I guess that's all I really remember, you know, filming. But it's just like, oh my God, like that feels like it's been my whole life, stop motioning this thing. And it just barely starts to walk or whatever. And he just kind of loses his mind. And I was like, that's all I could think was like, oh yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing right here. Is making 14 seconds worth of animation and spending literally like 3 days. And I mean, not 3 days straight. Like Saturday was a nice day, or whatever it was, Friday evening. One of those days, I'm like, I'm going out into the world and enjoying it. Yeah, Saturday. Um, one night it was just like setting up this little background, trying some different things, like with camera angles, not really doing anything. But you forget how much prep time goes into every little thing. So by the end of it, it is like, oh my God, like I just spent most of my weekend kind of playing with a little Velociraptor toy. And then in the end of that is like, but, like, I don't know, to keep going back to UFC, like how much would I have to pay you for you to take punches to the face and to kind of semi-attempted murder somebody for a living, and hopefully not, murder them, because I don't know what that does for a fighter's career. I assume it doesn't make it better. Maybe it makes them the greatest. I don't know. I really don't know. But my version, of course, is, hey, like how many punches to the face would you take, or slash, what kind of punches to the face to make a little stop motion Velociraptor? Would you sacrifice a huge chunk of several days? And the answer is yeah, I totally would, and I did, and I'll do it again. Which leads me to correlate, to calculate, to surmise, and come to the conclusion that a UFC person who does it because they can afford to, because they want to, for fun, um, it has to mean that their currency is like how many, not even money, probably, like how many punches in the face are you willing to take in exchange for being able to punch somebody in the face kind of as hard as you can, in the most lethal way possible, to make them beg for their life. And it's just like, all right, yeah, cool. I'll take that many. I'll take however many it takes to be a professional face puncher, if it means I get to be a professional face puncher. And to Kevin Bacon connect that, my friend Amanda posted there a little while ago. I don't know if it was like a meme or she actually wrote it, but the whole like, hey, why is it that in my dreams, when I try to punch somebody, I can't land those UFC epic punches? They just become these like little kitten taps once you get to somebody. And I know I personally have that, where it's like, what makes my dreams even more terrifying is if something horrific is going on, and in many cases there will often be this like purge type situation will break out, where it's either zombies or it's not zombies. It's just people going, you know what? We don't need to live by these rules anymore. Let's just go purge-ish type crazy. And then they just do. And I'm usually in a big city when it happens, and trying to run away. And if I do get cornered, I'm like, I don't know what to do here now. And just like in real life, like I have to start talking until these people realize that like, no, like we don't want an accidental murder on our hands. But in those situations, I usually don't think that will work. So it is just a run and hide situation. But when I do have a point where it's like, all right, you have no choice. You got to punch this person in the face so hard that hopefully they can't come at you, or yeah, maybe you got to basically almost murder them. Um, and in my dreams, every single time when I do finally go like it's happening, I'm finally gonna punch somebody. At least like definitely this is a dream, and then it's just like just nothing, like no hard connection whatsoever. And like, oh great, I'm getting beat up in this dream, or hopefully I wake up now. Hopefully I wake up now, and either some circumstance allows me to escape, or they start like suffocating me, or punching, and I do just wake up or whatever. But in the real, like, because like, and that's just a dream. So I'm left to wonder how in the real world you can do that exact same thing that I can't do even in imaginary made up dream world, that you can connect and go, yeah, that was great. I'm going to go in for more until I feel that person's bones and corpuscles and muscles just separate and move under my own hand. And and how could you? And even just the thought of like somebody's nose like breaking under your hand. How do you? Later, Josh. There's still head pads and stuff, but I don't know, the UFC clip that I saw, like their head pads were gone at this point. Yeah, they had those little padded gloves, but they're still they're still exploded faces. It gets very bare knuckly. Hey, Space Goonie. And all that to say that, as much as I thought, Arrested Development, like another season of this, it's not going to be good, right? Like, they must have ran out of funny stuff. Was the last one great? I don't even remember anymore. There's so much to remember and think about. Maybe this show is too complicated. And then, minute 1, minute 2, already, oh yeah, I forgot. No, this is the greatest. Always the greatest. And somehow it just keeps getting greater. with Alright, see if this eraser is any better. Alright, I feel like that's all the damage I could do to this. And damn it. Once again, I forgot to bring the whatchamacallit, countdown paper. Let's see if we can do it on here. Can I zoom in? too small. Use the back of that page. All right, let's write it over top of this. All right, let's play countdown. Go to my random words generators. And K is the first letter. Let's try it right here. So if anybody is new, we're just going to play a game of countdown, or part of it, where we'll get 9 letters, and you have 30 seconds to try to make the longest word. You get to submit 1 word, and the winner is the greatest for a week. And that's a good prize. And an O, so it's K-H-L-O. I'm definitely going to run out of space this way. W. Let's try to find another vowel. A. Another L, I guess. M. How many vowels we got? Just 2? This thing hates to give vowels. Anytime with a vowel. Hey, vowel. Waiting for a random vowel. Oh, and an O. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then, oh, there we go. Those are 9 letters. Get some extra time while I put this marker top on, and then see if the clock still works. And it does. 30 seconds to make a word. With this distraction, it seems absurd, and the sound is cutting out for some reason. I guess I need some more RAM, but I can't add more RAM to this computer, and it's running out of time. And I'll turn off the clock. And right away, old Johnny C is in there with a 6 with hollow right away. Can anybody beat a 6? Or did everybody come up with hollow? Or I think mine is mallow a word? M-A-L-L-O-W, or is that just with an O? Low. Look. Oh, mallow. Pat's got a 3 with low. That one was already there. That one was... We kind of started with that one. And Moxie Fox is sneaking in with a 6. Is your 6 mallow or hallow? M-A-L-L-O-W. That's a 6 too. So John and Space Goonie are in the lead, and Moxie Fox, did she cheat? Is she cheating by just adding mallow later after I said it, after Space Goonie said it? Who's to say? Who's to say? But that's 3 6s. So this week, for all who chose to play, everyone wins except Pat. So sometimes in life, there can be only one loser, and everyone else gets to win. And you know, the good of the many outweigh the good of the few sometimes, right? So you know, that's oh wow, this, you know, that's real nice of Pat, I think. to really play the Spock for all of his friends, and let everyone let everyone win. And of course, yeah, with the loss, Space Goonie can choose to use the mug of that winning house for her candy and chicken burgers, or even more fun, she could smash it right in front of Pat and make him live with the fact that he lost the only thing that he's ever won in life. Yeah. Yeah, you can get all the words you want, Moxie Fox. You have 17 words. We're not playing Boggle. We're not playing Boggle. Maybe someday we'll have a game of no such thing as grown-ups Boggle. But until then, it's no such thing as Countdown. And then we're just going for one word, longest word, quality over quantity. Oh yeah, in your own home, you can sit there with your dog, and it can count for all kinds of things. High five each other. We got the most, but you got the most in a game you weren't playing. It's like if you're out playing UFC and nobody else is playing UFC, and at the end of the night you think, I just won my game of UFC. I just punched out like 7 people, and then boop boop boop, the police show up to let you know that yeah, you won your game, but you lost the game that we were playing, which was making sure that people like you weren't walking around judo throwing people through glass windows. Ooh, Mohawk is in there too. This was a good one. Very impressed with everyone except Pat, of course. But better luck next time, Pat. Better luck next time. Yeah, like I said, there's a new podcast that should be up probably tomorrow. Just have to wait for Moxie Fox to send her file over. She probably already uploaded somewhere, didn't share the link, or I didn't check by mail. Either way, that will be on its way. And this has been Drawing Stuff. The No Such Thing as Grown Up Sway. Thanks for following along and talking about UFC. And we didn't even get into concussions, just having your face caved in and severe brain damage. So yeah, if you have the choice not to punch somebody, then take that choice of the not punching. And that's all I gotta say. But yeah, thanks. And have a great night. And see you guys next Tuesday. And, ooh yeah, one of these days I'll figure out how to make the proper credits instead of just playing these credits. If I can find my cheat sheet, there we go. Good night, everybody. It's time to watch your Batman shows so you can enjoy all the detective work that a Batman knows. Going to my Instagram to share this thing I drew. I'll make sure to tag Mike Doty too, 'cause he knows who he is. Of course, suddenly this drawing seems like the most unflattering drawing I've ever drawn. Doo-doo-doo-doo.